a lot of people have been saying that. And I mean, you can't see all yourself. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like you
right.
can't really see yourself. You see yourself, but you know what I'm talking about, to actually see within, from the outside in. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's a compliment. So
Hey,
thank you.
hey, that glow, you got that glow, something happening.
Right, something going on. That's good
Something,
lotion. That's good
something
lotion.
going
No,
on,
I'm just
exactly.
kidding.
Exactly. Got that right. Got that right. So the business is going good.
Business is crazy. You know, a person would assume that in a pandemic, because small businesses were most affected, um, that maybe, a lot of businesses went out of business.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't survive. And so, that's always the first question. How's the business? Do you still have it? And it actually has been a blessing in disguise for us.
Mm.
A lot of work, a lot of stress, because there were 7 weeks where we were not allowed to be open. And so that means no revenue, we don't have any sales, but then you
Mhm.
still have overhead.
Right, right.
So that was a tough, stressful, you go into savings or go into finances that you padded up, or go into personal finances just to keep it afloat.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to survive and thrive afterwards, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been really good.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna talk about that later. I was hoping you show up with some cigars or something, some little cognac,
Well,
little
you said we
something.
were talking coaching a little bit. So I rarely cross the two platforms. I rarely cross the two, unless it's really informal off camera or something like that. But yeah, no, I did, and I definitely have some right there. But
Oh, see, if I'd had one, I'd have me a cigar right here, front and center, just front and
and
center.
wouldn't care. You wouldn't even care. I see. I can't smoke without you.
Hey, it's like that. But I want to talk to you. Let's get into this thing. I want to talk to you about a few things and just get your take on it. So let's
Okay.
start with you. University of Texas Longhorns, uh, all-time lead scorer.
No, not even close.
Not even
Not even
close.
close. No, no,
Who
not even
got you?
close. You would think. No, I scored, but I didn't score like that. I mean, there are players that they weren't passing the ball very much. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's quite there's quite a few way ahead of me. My numbers are more on the balance side, where I'm top this in 3, 4, 5 statistical categories,
Mhm.
and things like that. I kind of fill the stat instead of just one particular column.
Well,
But
you
yeah,
being humble, but at the end of the day, you still legendary. You still legendary. And legendary
perhaps
Edwina Brown. Let's
that's
keep
what they keep
it.
telling me.
Yes,
They keep telling me that.
Is your jersey retired?
Oh, that is a great question. That's a
Mm.
great question. It is not retired. It is not retired. Fun fact, which is not so fun, but an unfortunate fact, is that as of 2 years ago at the
Hmm.
University of Texas, there were no female numbers jerseys retired.
Wow.
Zero.
Wow.
So if you follow any of the sports there, Chris Del Conte comes over from TCU. He takes over, probably 3 years ago now. And so he started changing some things. It was no longer the Texas way. Everything was the Texas way, under the older regime. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm sure that was a question mark for him. He's one of those guys that's like, who cares? It's always been this way. He kind of goes against the curve. He changes things. So since he's taken over in 2 years, there have been two jerseys retired. Cammie Etheridge was the first.
Hmm.
She's one of three Wade Trophy winners from the University of Texas. And then the following year, which I believe would have been 2020 into 2019, 2020. Actually, I think it was right before COVID hit in 2020. Clarissa Davis Reitzel had her number retired. She is two of three Wade Trophy winners. And so, no, mine is not.
It's coming. It's coming. Ain't no question about it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, how many years you played in the WNBA?
5 years. Didn't play long. Had a bad injury during one of those last years. The Achilles, that was kind of at the beginning of when, it was unheard of coming back from the Achilles
Oh
injury.
yeah.
So yeah, back in, what is that, 04,
Real
05,
difficult to come
now
back
we're
from.
15, 16 years later. So now technology, etc. And so that's a big risk and a liability. I get it, even though I felt like skill was still there.
Mhm.
But was still able to play overseas, kind of did the duality in the year of doing both, and then continue playing after for 6 more years abroad.
Right, right. Well, one of the things I want to talk to you about is just, the dilemmas that women have in coaching, whether it's obviously for
Woo,
you.
let me sit back. Let me sit back on this one. Woo, woo, woo.
Get comfortable, sister.
All right.
We're
Come
gonna put it
on.
out there. We
Come
got all
on.
these viewers, and
Come
look,
on.
if it gets a little bit too much, so just say, hey, I'm gonna pass on this question. But I'm gonna keep it real on my show. I'm gonna keep it real and put it out there because it needs to be said. It needs to be said.
Right.
But when I met you, what was that? 2014, I think it was, somewhere around there, right? At the the Battle of the Bayou in New Orleans.
Exactly. In New Orleans.
In New Orleans. And
Yeah.
this young lady right here, took all my doggone my baked beans, all my baked beans, ate up all my baked beans.
The gym, man. I was like, what are these? These are baked. Okay, haven't had this old snack. It was so good.
Old school.
Yeah.
And that's how our friendship began, which is really funny because, me coming from the men's side and coaching women, there's always a talk that a lot of the male coaches trying to hit up on the female coaches and all this kind of stuff. So I was kind of like just standoffish from everybody. I didn't want nobody to say that Eric Rashad was trying to get up on anybody during that time. But you and I struck up a great conversation, and we've been friends from there. But my question to you is this. When I met you, you were on the super fast track. I mean, you were the assistant coach at University of New Mexico. Right after that, boom, you had TCU. Right after that, boom, you had SMU, and then you're on the short list for numerous head coaching jobs. I remember we talked about UTEP and UC Irvine, I think it was. A couple other Division I programs, and still in your early 30s at the time. Well, you're still in your early 30s, still early 30s. Well, I ain't gonna talk about your age, but you're still young. But yeah. I mean, for anybody, to be on that kind of fast track, what happened?
So I actually started before New Mexico. I was at Texas. I started my career at the University of Texas. But yeah, what happened? I don't know that it was any one thing that happened. There were consistent occurrences that was happening that perhaps hurt me or crippled me, regardless of whose fault it was. So it was a very fast track. Name was buzzing, and I thought there were some jobs that I was getting, that I was gonna get, and resume, experience. I felt like I was more qualified than some people, but I learned quickly that in this business, it's a lot of who you know, and who knows who you know, and who can pick that phone up and vouch for you, and speak on your behalf. So with me as a former professional basketball player, there's a lot of, I'm sure it's on the men's side as well, but there's a lot of ego battles. There's a lot of pride in what you do. If you're a head coach, and I can only look at it from their seat. I've never been in that seat, but now as my own, as a boss and having my own staff here, I get it. There are some things that I get when you have someone that, is talented, skilled, gifted in a particular area. It can come across as intimidating. And even that skill set was a lot of times innocent, and a lot of times blind, because I'm so hungry and so green when it comes to coaching, and then college coaching. I just wanted to learn and to work my tail off. And I'm that former athlete that the players, the female players, they gravitate to me.
Right.
They gravitate to me because, you know, the larger percentage of them look like me, right? Or I look like them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's familiar, so to speak, because that's kind of like mom, right? Mom looks like that.
Exactly.
And I'm always bouncing this stuff off of mom, right? So then I'm that mother on the staff. And then a lot of them started to have dreams and aspirations to play in the W. And because that I had, and they wanted to play overseas, and they had questions they wanted to bounce off me. So then they lived in my office. Well, I think that as a head coach, it's probably hard to see your players, right? Your players, even though I believe that it's our players, but to see your players always constantly in the office of your assistant coach.
Right.
And a lot of, when you look back at the head coaches that I worked for, I would say half of them were first-time head coaches and inexperienced, right? First time is inexperienced as a head coach. And so they're eager to have their own ship. This is their own ship. This is their way. And I was very much the one that falls in line with that. You know, what's your vision? And I'm gonna work the heck out of that vision. But with me working the heck out of it, I'm spending a ton of time with players. And I think that a little bit of that is, I don't want to speak ill on them, but that ego comes in, and it's like, yeah, man, and it's like the insecurity of it, insecurity through inexperience. And I think that perhaps we clashed in that.
Right.
And utmost respect from me to them, because I serve. This is what I do. I serve.
Exactly.
I've worked since I was 14 years old, so I've worked for everything that I have. So you can best believe I'm that assistant that's working. You know I'm working.
I know you're working.
There is no doubt in their mind. I am working. I'm putting the hours in more than what's asked. And I have dreams and aspirations of being, at that time, a head coach. So you know that I'm out there just working the lay of the land. And so I think that, you know, when it came down to those ADs or those hiring staff committees asking questions and making those calls to my bosses, I can probably assure you that it was hard to separate the opinion of her skill set, which you couldn't knock that, right? My work ethic, you can't knock that, to where it leaked over into the personal. How do I feel about you personally? That kind of, the lines were blurred, and that became more of the topic and perhaps a concern for the ADs.
Right. And that's a shame. And that's a shame. It really is, because I can attest. I mean, I was on the road with you. You grinded. You get that work in. I mean, you there 8 o'clock in the morning, the first game, and you there the last game at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, people don't understand what, especially college coaches, go through as opposed to the NBA guys and the WNBA. The college, that's a grind. Especially in the summertime during recruiting season. I mean, you out there all night, all morning and all night, you know, watching hundreds of players. You know, I mean, so I can attest, you were grinding. You were grinding. So
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, no stranger to work.
Exactly. Well, and the success shows that. The success shows that you're not a stranger to work. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty and get in there. So it's kind of sad, you know, that's how it turned out. But you and I know the job that we thought you had, you know, Southern University. I'm gonna put it out there. You probably not gonna put it out there, but I'm gonna put it out there. Southern University hired 2 people at the same time. Hired 2 head coaches at the same time for the same job. What kind of craziness is that? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a crazy story. That really was a crazy story. You know, I would have to write a book about that someday and talk about that. But very, very interesting. I mean, I think that they played it safe. Hired in-house. I'm sure, you know, financials, monetary, you know, the dollar, it probably came down to that. Which one can we get cheaper type of thing or whatever. I mean, you know, I don't know what ADs think, but When you're nervous or you move in fear, sometimes you make wrong decisions, but that wasn't for me, clearly.
Exactly. It actually did you a favor. It actually did you a favor.
Yeah.
No question about it. No question about it. When you look at how things turned out, it actually did you a favor. What are your thoughts on, I guess we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of women coaching, because there's so many challenges. What are some of the challenges that you see for a woman in coaching on the professional level?
On the professional level.
Yeah.
Um,
Meaning college or WNBA or coaching internationally.
Yeah, are we talking about former athletes or just women in general?
No, a challenge for coaches.
Oh, just in general coaching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, on a professional level.
For a woman coach.
Right. Women coaching women though. Women
Right.
coaching men. Just broadly.
I'm gonna get to that too. But whatever you want to talk about. Whatever you want to throw out there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay.
I think that I've never coached professionally, so I was interested in a couple of the jobs in the W, and I've been inside as far as practices. Actually, I've sat in on a couple meetings. I think that when we're talking about the W, the connection with the player, you have an older player, a more seasoned player. Whereas in college, you kind of help to mold them into the young lady they become, the woman they become. There's more teaching in life, right? Teachable moments, teachable nuggets about life. Once you get them on a professional level, they kind of set, not that they're not growing, but they kind of have their set mindset of what they believe is going to happen in the next 1 to 5 years. And so you have a little bit less of that off the court connection. It's more now on the court. As an athlete, what can you do to help me to take one step up, right? To level up. What can you do to help me to level up again? And that's really where the relationship comes from. I think that player development that you get on the college side, you get that on the WNBA side, because you're spending a ton of time, if not more. You're spending practice time with them. You're probably with them in the weight room. They're in the training room a ton. It is your job, I would assume, in the W as an assistant coach, it is your job to find a way to build trust with that player. And so that becomes the difference between them doing what you're asking them to do and what they're actually doing.
Got you.
I've never coached international, but the hard part, I would imagine, as an athlete, is being away from family. Unless you're able to move your family over there, you still have that barrier. You still have the oceans that are between you. Exactly. And that's very hard, and for me, being that I kind of grew up like an only child, so leaving home wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard for me to leave home because my dreams and my goals and aspirations outweighed my loneliness. Because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to be. I just didn't know how to get there, but I felt like if I did that step, I could get there. So that part of it wasn't hard for me, but there are players that are very talented, that have opportunities, have offers, have jobs, and they leave those jobs because they cannot stay away from their family.
Exactly.
And I think that as a player, the WNBA players, a lot of them went overseas, but then that kind of wears your body down. But there are some that did not go overseas. And so then they would get a job throughout the school year, what we think is the school year, fall overlapping into the spring, as long as that job could afford them to stay home. They would go abroad because they're maybe more family oriented.
I think you see the same issue also when it comes to coaching abroad, and then of course, like you said, leaving your family, being there all by yourself. To me, that's one of the biggest challenges. But I think it's even more difficult for a woman, especially if let's say she's married or she has children. I mean, because I know just talking to a lot of female coaches, college coaches, you see a lot of them dropping out early. They don't have that 20 to 30 year coaching coaching time like guys do. You know, guys like, you know, we lifers, we coach 20, 30 years, but a lot of really good female coaches get in and get out early, you know.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is attributed to the fact that, you know, it's, a lot of men don't want to follow a woman who's coaching and bouncing all over the place, because you're gonna bounce. I mean, you may have a different take on it. I don't know, but the
No,
job is move around a lot.
I think that that's true. I mean, I don't have a family, so I'm watching it from the outside looking in, from the outside looking at them. So, you know, a lot of them kind of get out of it because the work-life balance is not there, or maybe the agreement between their companion, right? They don't agree on, this is how our home is going to work. And, you know, there's that other person that's asking for more time, whereas a coach on the college side, and even on the professional side, maybe even more, because it's nonstop. Well, college is nonstop as well. You're never home. Right. You're never home. And then for females that bear children, you know, you have one to however many babies you have that need mama. Right. You know, not saying they don't need daddy, but you know, moms
starts with mom though. It starts with mom. Yes. That's the foundation. That's the foundation.
Yeah. So that has to be hard on young mothers, like you're saying. The older ones, maybe their kids are even older. You know, older women, let's just say, probably not having these young babies anymore. The younger the kids are, the more demanding they are on your time. And then it's hard. It's not like on the women's side, you know, the money is decent. It's decent, but it's not comparable to the men's side. It's probably not enough that a person deserves, you know, especially those that are coming from this low major schools, right, or even HBCUs, you know, or the mid majors. You know, their budget is not extensive. It's not enough to really pay you for the hours that you're putting in. Plus you have kids. Exactly. It's hard. It is absolutely hard. So I'm one of those ones that will always lobby for more pay. You know, as a female athlete, as a female former coach, and still dabbling into it.
There ain't no farmer. I don't want to hear about that farmer stuff. Hey, that part I'm gonna cut out. I'm just gonna delete that right on out. It got nothing to do with no farmer. Ain't no farmer in this.
Oh my God.
What's about farmer? You coaching now. You got an AAU team. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, stepped away.
What?
Stepped away.
Oh, come on.
Stepped away.
Oh, I'm hitting scratching my head now. Oh.
Don't do that. Stepped away. Yeah, sorry. Couldn't do it. I will say that I hate that I wasn't able to experience that level in what we now know as normal, right? During a normal time. I experienced it for the first time during COVID, right? That threw a monkey wrench in everyone's life.
Yeah.
So having to navigate leading a team and directing an organization, two jobs that I've never held during a pandemic. It was a test. Wow. It was a test. And so at the end of the season, I knew I was gonna have to make a decision because I wasn't happy. And I had to make a decision between what I know God placed into me, which is the love and the passion to coach the game, something that I would want to do, something I could do in my sleep that comes easy for me, to really committing on this new direction, right? I kind of came to a fork in the road when the lounge was dropped in my lap, and it's like, you know, can I do both of these at the same time? I did it, but I knew how much time and demand it placed on me.
It took,
and I had to make a decision.
Wow, I'm in shock. I'm in shock. If I had a drink, I'd drink it right now because
you're in shock that I didn't do basketball. What are you in shock? What are you in shock with?
Because I mean, you're a lifer. I mean, you are a lifer.
You want me to be a lifer?
No, you are a lifer. You're a lifer. Come on, don't play me. I know you. You a lifer. You a lifer. You know you are. You know you are. You know what? Sometimes, I will say though, sometimes you have to take another course. You have to take another course. But that course can also lead you right back. And nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with stepping away and doing a little something different. I did something different for 3 years when I ran those charter schools, and then found my way right back to coaching. When I applied for athletic directorship, I never forget the president of the college said, "You're not done with coaching yet." I was trying to convince myself I was. Yeah, okay, I'm going to be an athletic director on the junior college level. I'm in Florida, close to my family. And that guy helped me out. He said, "You know what? You're not ready to be an AD yet. You still got too much coaching left." And I tried to convince myself that I didn't, but look where I am now. That was 2008. You know what I mean? So you're going to come back. You're going to come back. Once you get things sorted out, with your business, you'll come back. Because you're young. You're younger than me. So yeah, you got plenty of coaching left. Plenty of coaching left. I know you do. I can see it in your eyes. 10,000 miles away, I can see it in your eyes right now.
Oh, basketball is definitely a part of me.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. It goes without saying.
I would love to have it as a part of my life, but I don't know if I could fully commit to it right now. I can't. I do know that. I cannot fully commit to it right now.
The time is not right. The time is not right. But you look at the number of coaches that stepped away, whether it was for personal issues, whether it was for it took on a commentating job or whatever, and then they circle back and now they're coaching. Some as long as 10 years they set out and they're back coaching. Wow. I mean, so I work with a guy, John Gruden, who set out after winning the NFL championship for the Buccaneers. He set out for a good 10 years. And was a commentator and then came back and now he's working for the Raiders, coaching the Raiders. I mean, so it happens. It happens. And I think with in your situation, you'll circle back. You'll circle back. So having said that,
you're gonna make me circle back, huh?
No, you're gonna circle back. Yes, right. That's right. That's right. I'm encouraging you to circle back.
Got you.
Because you know what? It's gonna always be a void. It's like there's a part of you that belongs on a certain level. Absolutely. And until you truly fully accomplish that, because you've accomplished everything that you set out to do. Think about it. So until you fully accomplish that, it's always gonna be there. You gotta get it. It's just a matter of time. You gotta get it. When you get it, just keep your boy in mind. That's the only way I'll come back to coaching, at least in the States.
Look, you still over there? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Qatar right now.
In Qatar.
Uh-huh.
And you still coaching your team?
Yeah, we're getting ready for the Player Cup, the Cup tournament. It's coming up Tuesday, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. But I want to ask you this now. So, and you may not want to answer this one, but I'm gonna go through it anyway. What's your thoughts on? And then correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if I'm saying this the right way or not, how I'm going to set this up. But what is your thought on a transgender male competing with females? So a transgender male would be a man who changed his sex to a woman. Is that correct? Or is that a transgender female?
That I don't know. I don't know if he said transgender female. I don't know. Okay, so I'm staying out of that. But what you're saying is born a male and had a sex change.
Right.
And now a female.
Right.
Right.
Because we're seeing that. We're seeing it around the world.
And then playing female sports.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You may be able to change your genitalia, your anatomy, a couple areas of your body. However, you were still born with a certain dense muscle, right? Density in your muscles and your bones, and
testosterone level.
There is, we can try to scientifically take this pill, this serum, whatever is happening to try to balance that thing out. But we will never be able to make it ideal. And so there will always be an advantage. There will always be an advantage for that individual versus another, a female of equal, right? It just, there's too much gray area. This world is, there's some bad people in this world, right? People do things, they'll live a different life to take advantage of another person. So where I'm going with this is, what if that's the case because they want to play this sport as a female and they're so much more talented, so now they want to break these records and make all this? No.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing it in track and field, and they're doing it in weightlifting.
And for me, that is fundamentally wrong. Like that's not right. That's not the way that, and I can't live their life, right? But I don't want that success to where I have to manipulate and or scheme or connive or trick someone into. I don't want that particular success. Genes are important, genetics. You have these athletes that are breeding these super athletes, and for them to change, over to being a female, that's a grave disadvantage, in my opinion. So if you ask my opinion, if I'm on it, it's just too many what ifs of the future when you start doing that. It doesn't equal out. It doesn't equal out, and it's just not fair.
Well, then you have the issue of the young. I can't think of her name. I should have done my research. But the young lady that runs track for South Africa. Well, some say she's a lady, some say she's not. I mean, some say she's I guess a hermaphrodite or something. But she's just dominating 800 meters. I mean, just obliterating everybody. As a matter of fact, she was doing that from the age of 16, 17. She was already dominating, on the world level. I mean, world scale. I mean, so, but they say she was born a female, but it's now that she's really not. I mean, I guess she's a hermaphrodite, I suppose. I mean, so is an individual like that not supposed to be able to compete with any side?
Right. I mean, I agree that they're athletic and this is how they want to showcase their skill. You should be able to showcase your skill, right? But now, basically what I'm saying is, if this person is fast, right, or strong, or whatever your skill set is, you should be able to reproduce it back into the world, right? That's why God gives us gifts. He doesn't give us gifts to hide it. So I believe that you should be able to do what it is you believe you were called to do. Now, on what side of the line? That's tricky. That's tricky. And once the rule is made or the okay or the law, I'm kind of one of those people that follow the law, and this just now becomes my opinion. I just don't think it's fair. I think that there's too much of a natural advantage, right? When we're talking about men changing to women, there's too much of a natural advantage that they should not be allowed to do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm in agreement 100%. 100%. I mean, in my opinion, if their testosterone level is tested at a level that says male, then they just can't compete. Period. I mean, you got to go compete with the guys. Even if you look like a woman, you still got to go compete with the guys. Because a natural female, like yourself, would have no chance. Right. No chance. We have no chance, and they're showing that the women don't have no chance when those type people are allowed to compete. I mean, they're just obliterating the record books. Yeah. So I agree with you.
I mean, is that similar? Like, is that in the same family of conversation when you're talking about doping and you're talking about drugs? You know, where you're manipulating, you know, muscle
Exactly.
groups or reproduction of blood flow and things like that. You know, you're using this to enhance, or you're using this to
Exactly.
change and to move. Like, to me, that just seems wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Can and should, well, I know that's for can, but should a woman be able to coach men? Whether it's football, basketball, doesn't matter. But should a woman be able to coach in a men's sport?
I know the world we live in. You know, I look at the first, you know, presidential candidate, right? Now vice president, but then we also had Hillary going for president as a female, and how it's such a big deal, and this is a movement, and I'm all behind it. I'm all behind the movement and pro, and it made me feel proud. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got a little like, I think I even posted about it, you know, but the fact that this is a conversation, the fact that the barriers are still a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind blowing, you know, to me, and I'm sure there's more to it, but to me, we're asking, the question is, should women be allowed to coach men? But we don't ask the question, should men be allowed to coach women?
Exactly.
Like, that's a double standard for me.
Very much so.
There's no difference. Don't come to me talking about, well, women in the locker room with the men. Well, men are in the locker room with the women. Like that. Let's not have that conversation.
And truth be told, you know, because I've coached women, you know, I'm only in the locker room with women doing pregame, right? Halftime. After the game, I'm gone. I'm never around. As opposed to when I'm coaching men, you know, when the guys are still undressing and stuff, I'm still in the locker room. I'm still in the locker room, still in there talking. So it just requires a subtle change, a little subtle difference, which,
Right.
to your point, it should not be an issue. If a woman has this knowledge and she has a respect of the players, go for it. That's the way I look at it. That's why I look at it. Because
I mean,
I remember when I was going for a head coach job.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I remember when I was going for a head coach job, I know one of the things that I thought about, that if I was to get the men's job, I wanted to hire you to work with the men. So that's the way my mind was thinking, you know, because I knew you have that basketball IQ. And I knew you get your point across, and I knew you're going to get respect, you know, from the players. So I never had a problem with it, but it is a double standard, very much so.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, and I do remember getting a couple calls from you. So I do appreciate you recognizing that. Not a lot of men do. Not a lot of men can see us as their equal, or can see us as competent enough to be successful at the job. You know, hats off to Pop for starting something, well, at least that I'm aware of, when it comes to basketball. And I think that a lot of people on different sporting platforms have taken the baton and run with it. And now it's a thing. And we hype it up. Oh, you see, she's coaching soccer. She's in the NFL now. Now it's becoming not the norm, but it is definitely moving the curve.
Right.
It's definitely moving the curve. So, like you said, as long as this right here, you're competent enough. You know, they trust you. Obviously, Becky, he watched Becky as a player. And then she was around practices, maybe helped out with the Silver Stars as well, and then around the Spurs, and he saw it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what the great ones can do. They have a vision. They can see it regardless of what it may look like. You know,
and they're secure. They're secure.
And he's secure.
That's what it starts with security.
That's the whole conversation. He is a secure.
That's across the board. That's straight across the board. On any level, any division, security is the issue. Yeah, that's stopping right there, huh?
Why do you think these coaches are insecure?
Why?
Now, yeah, what?
I think, and I'll be honest with you, I think that most of them are insecure. The ones that are insecure are the ones that didn't truly earn the job.
Mm.
That's what I think. Because every coach that I've worked with that bust their behind, grind, and earn that job over a period of time, they're not insecure. And they know their stuff. They know their stuff.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
Those two
Yeah,
things
I
together.
think that insecurity, there's something you're compensating for,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's something you're trying to compensate for. You're covering up, whether lack of knowledge, whether, I know a lot of people that were hired because they were a friend of a friend of a friend.
Exactly. They know they're not supposed to be there. they know they're not supposed to be there. You know, I remember you telling me when you were talking about, me possibly coming to TCU. You was like, I don't know, E. I don't know. She have a hard time with somebody like you on the staff. And I get it.
You gotta keep it real. And me, you and I are cool. I gotta let you know, and not in a disrespectful way, in bad mouthing, our boss or potential boss,
Right.
but just keeping it real.
Exactly.
And that's what, when people have called looking to bring me on and they have allowed me to talk to their staff and they said, keep it real with her. And I ask questions. I want to know. I want to know the questions that you won't voluntarily give up the information. And with you being seasoned, right? It has nothing to do with arrogance. That's seasoned.
Right.
You have a seasoned brain. You're a very strong-minded, educated man, right? You are not someone that is gonna be told, hey, go run one lap around the gym, go get me a coffee, come back, sit right here, and I'll let you do a drink. For what? Why am I doing that? Why do I need to run the lap? Like, I have questions. And you're one of those people that's like, okay, explain the lap to me. Explain why I need to get you coffee. What does it have to do with these X's and O's? And I'm that person. Like, for me, it just has to make sense. I'm not a do. I've never been a do boy, do girl, whatever they call it. You can't just tell me anything. I have questions about it. I'm the person that 20 people go this way. I need to understand why we're not going this way and why we're going this way so I can make a decision. And you're the same way.
Well, let me tell you something. I just, on my last episode with Brian Rouse, I don't know if you know Brian. Brian's actually in Dallas, as a matter of fact. But Brian played with Charlotte Hornets, and he's been coaching overseas for quite some time. But anyway, we just had this conversation the last episode, which was the problem with Black coaches is that most of them do not get the opportunity to truly coach on the floor. They are recruiters. They are babysitters. They are errand boys, or errand girls, or errand women, or they're court jesters, keeping everybody happy. That's it. And so if they do get a job, they're not prepared. And so what it does is they go there and they fail miserably. And so now it justifies to the ADs to not hire Black coaches. See, I told you, I hired this guy, I hired this girl, she couldn't do jack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a setup. It's a setup. Unless you get a head coach who's secure, right, and know their stuff, then they allow you to work. They allow you to work and to work your craft. And see, the issue with your situations, I think, is that none of those people were secure. And so they never allowed you to work your craft. You see?
Yeah. You know what they sold me on was, if you come work for me, I'll let you do A, B, C, and D. Because when I was an assistant, I wasn't allowed to. And now that I got my job, I always told myself that I was going to allow my staff to. And sure enough, they reproduced what they saw. They didn't change it. They reproduced what they saw.
You know, it's like the abuse syndrome. You know, they say that a person who's been abused end up being an abuser. So it's the same thing in coaching. The same thing in coaching with most people. If they've been treated that way, they turn around and treat you the same way. You know, we know some in particular, some people in particular. You know, we're not gonna call any names, but we know some people in particular who are like that. Who are like that. You know, they tell you one thing, but then when you get there, you go, damn, you just you just got lied to me. Just flat out lied to me. You know, but that's the problem, I think, with Black coaches. Many of us don't get the opportunity to really truly coach. You know, I've been around numerous, coaching staffs, and I go inside and watch, and I'm watching the brother, or I'm watching the sister, and all they doing is over on the sideline. They on the sideline having a conversation, talking to me, tapping it out, that kind of stuff. You know, his hands are going hard, but they're not actually coaching. They're not doing anything in terms of X's and O's. So they're not being prepared to be a head coach.
Yeah.
You know,
if you notice this kind of, as you were talking, there are not a lot of former pros, and we're talking specifically basketball right now, that are coaching on the collegiate level. Okay, there's not a lot.
Exactly.
And then those that are either, hop hurdles or missteps, or took the fast track to becoming a head coach.
Exactly.
Right? Or, immediately, because out of WNBA, successful career, they earned this head coaching job. But those that are assistants either get out of coaching. There's a few that stay. And so I would be curious to know, those that stay, those that found longevity in it, how many of their bosses are younger, newer head coaches versus more seasoned head coaches.
Interesting.
I bet you it's a small percentage that they work for inexperienced head coach.
I would tend to agree.
And that's what I fell in. And a lot of them end up leaving and walking away.
There it is. Because I'm just thinking about a lot of the female coaches that I met, on the road and, befriended, and a lot of them are out of it already. And that's, you're talking about within, 5 years. Within 5 years, they're no longer coaching. And that's mind-boggling. So it has to be out of frustration. You talked about women who have put their whole life into basketball. They played all their life, and they got into coaching by choice, not because, they didn't have anything to do. I mean, they chose to become a coach, and then all of a sudden they're out of it, and that's out of frustration. And I think that's where you fall into. That's where you fall into, frustration. Well,
hold on now. In my defense, there's a smaller percentage of it that was frustration versus a larger percentage that was lies being told.
I can agree.
Okay.
I can agree with that, because we talked about that. So I definitely can agree with that.
Okay.
No question about it.
Making sure.
Now, here's my final question for you.
Okay.
We always hear about the male athlete, especially in particular the black male athlete, although the white male athlete go broke just as well. But we always hear about the black athlete going broke shortly after retirement. But what I don't think I've ever really heard of, the black female athlete going broke after retirement? Have you?
One comes to mind right now, and I would choose not to say her name out of respect for, you know, this being on some type of social media platform. But she won the first 4 championships, so we can probably figure it out. One comes to mind.
I knew it was. I knew it was. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, regardless of that one coming to mind, it's few and far between, almost nil, right?
Right.
What I would say, as that former female athlete that's taken the train and hit every stop,
Mm-hmm.
One advantage that we have for the men when it comes to not filing for bankruptcy or going broke is that we all have gone to college and either received a college degree. So we have some type of foundation in budgeting. Okay. So we have some type of education piece that maybe that male athlete who went to school for a year and left, or, you know, there was a group where I don't know how many years where you can go from high school straight to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So they missed that educational piece that teaches you about budgeting, saving, investing, and things of those natures. So they learn that on the fly if they choose. Mm-hmm. We were forced to, because whatever your degree track was, there were certain classes you had to take, right? The other thing is when I hired an agent, and I would imagine that 80%, you know, a larger percent of female athletes, agent probably had the same conversation with them. Mm-hmm. Is that, you know, when it comes down to filling out your forms and what you're putting in your 401, do the max. So I did the max 15% every year. I didn't know why I was doing it, but I was advised to do that, and so I did it. Mm-hmm. Right? And then to sit in seminars and conversations about investing, and especially with the older veterans. I'm sure the men have those conversations, but that educational piece, yeah. And then another thing I'll say is, as females, we're used to playing our sport and doing something else, right? So because our sport was not able to financially provide for ourselves and or families, kids, husband, wives, whatever the case may be, we always had to have a second, third. We always had to have our hand in different areas, right? For the men, they go in as basketball, and in the beginning, unless they're advised to invest and start other businesses, it's really just basketball. It's basketball and kicking it. Mm-hmm. Basketball, kick it. For us, it's basketball, job, survive, provide.
Right.
And so I think that area of experience, we have an educational piece, an area of experience where you have to grind a little bit extra. I think that's why you don't hear about it.
Yeah, and you're being kind to the brothers, because a whole lot of them do 3 and 4 years of college, you know, and yeah, good portion don't graduate, but they've been there. They were there. So they were there. I just quite frankly think that the women are just smarter. I think the women
But were they really there? Because you know I wasn't going to class. Like the men, my male counterparts, they weren't in class. They had some chick or dude, touchy subject, doing their work. And I'm just like, when I get on, baby, when I make it, I'm gonna take care. This is the conversations, and they're doing their work. I don't know many other people, male, whatever, female, that are doing female athletes' work. I did all of my work, and I was that athlete.
You make a good point. You make a good point. You make a good point. But I think that, you know, you kind of alluded to the financial piece. I think that the financial piece plays a big part too, because when you're signing $30, $40 million contract, you know, you think you really got it made and you don't need to do anything else. So you're not focused on how you're going to handle your money, as opposed to the one on the women's side, like you said earlier, the women are not making nowhere near that kind of money, and they should make that kind of money, but they're not. So you're gonna be smart with your money. I know, like for me, I never signed no multi-million-dollar contract. So the little twos and fews that I got, my mama tell you, I still got some dollars in my pocket. My first paycheck, I still got some dollars because I never made that money like that. So I'm thinking, I gotta make this stuff work. I gotta make this work. So I just focus more on budgeting my money properly and not living above my means. As opposed to I've got the big contract, they thinking that money is there forever. They think it's there forever. And so many of them, when it's they're not diligent in terms of staying on top of things. They allow someone else to handle their money. They allow someone else. They give them a power of attorney, because they don't want to pay attention to what's going on and learn anything about it, and then they end up with nothing at the end of the day. So I think women not making that kind of money just understand. I got to make this thing work. Whatever I'm getting, I got to make it work. I'm gonna work this second job during the off season. It's just a whole different thing. So my mindset was very similar to the women's mindset. I had a job in off season. I said, let me prepare myself for life after basketball. So I think that's probably the big difference. But it's interesting to see, your thoughts on that. Hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. No, that's what I think. That's what I'm watching these coins. I'm watching every dime. Trust me.
I hear you, sister. I hear you. And so you got your business going now. What's it? Is it Cigar Lounge? What's the name of it?
Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge.
Where are you located?
We're in Duncanville.
Okay.
Duncanville, yeah.
Got you. Now you back up and running or what now?
Oh yeah, we have been open since May 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been open. The first time period we had the capacity limits. And then once those were able to, I don't think that we've actually been able to go to 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think it opened up to 100 and then they backed it back down to 75 and 50.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been kind of maneuvering and operating within that, within those standards. But for the most parts, they've been harder on bars. We don't have a bar, so we're BYOB, so we can kind of skate around in between the wording, and verbiage,
right,
to make sure that we can continue to operate as a business, because we are retail. So it's like a retail store that sells cigars, and the fact that we don't have a bar, we don't really get the blunt force, of the hidden closures with bars and nightclubs.
I got you. So now, did you and I ever share a cigar? Did you and I ever sit down over a cigar? We didn't.
No. I didn't have my first cigar until 2017. So right when I stepped away from coaching, I took that year. So I thought I was going to take a year off, right, and then get back into coaching. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this year and live life. I mean, not that I haven't lived life because I've been in so many different countries and seen so much, but I've been an athlete forever. And then I jumped straight into coaching, and I haven't just kind of, relaxed. So I took that year, 17 to 18. We're talking about kind of May to May, 17 and 8 to 18 to kind of relax. And then July, really August of 2018, this opportunity fell in my lap. So I think that you've been overseas since 2017 or
18.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
we kind of missed the track of it.
And so it fell in your lap. You didn't have to take it. So why did you decide to indulge in the entrepreneurship of a cigar lounge?
Yeah. Well, I've always been business minded. I mean, that is my minor. I've worked since I was 14. Very quickly, a year or two into working in high school, I hit managerial positions. And so then I started to have to do budgeting and things like that, and paying people. So I was acting kind of as a boss over a few people. So I knew that I would be capable of being a good business owner. I've always wanted to do it. I've had a nonprofit, so that's like running a business, since 2009, while I was playing. So, and then when you're doing these trainings, you're running a business as well, right? When you're talking about making your pricing and how they pay and filing and things of that nature. So I've been doing all of those things all along. And God, I mean, all experiences that we have, nothing is ever lost with God. Like, it's almost like he brings it back. You need this to that. I'll tie that in 10 years from now. I'll show you why you need this 5 years from now. So with the cigars, that year that I spent traveling, I would find myself Googling up cigar lounges on the road because of the ambiance and the conversation and the camaraderie, which is much like teamship, right? These are people you see every day. The people that come into my lounge, more than 50 to 75% of them are here every single day.
Wow.
And so, so these are people you're doing life with. Y'all are coming in talking about work. You coming in talking about the family. This is the same stuff we would do as athletes, And so I gravitated to that because I was used to that. And once I found a cigar that I could smoke, that I could adjust to, that was palatable for me at that time, I'm like, okay, this is not so bad. As long as I keep up my hygiene. My first problem was my hair. How can I get the smoke out of my hair? Once I balanced that out, and it was like my teeth, well, hey, go to the dentist, and then you'll be able to balance that part out. But it was almost like it pulled you in. And you can probably attest to this. A lot of things that you kind of dabbled in, it pulled you in. Or basketball kind of chose you. I played multiple sports, and then for whatever reason, basketball just reeled me in. And I would say that it chose me just like this profession chose me. I didn't ask for this. 10 years ago, if you would have told me I would be owning a cigar lounge, I would look at you sideways. Me smoking? Yeah, right.
No. I know. We know your passion. We know your true passion. We know your true passion at that blackjack table.
Oh man, that's a true problem, is what that is. That is a passionate problem.
Oh my God, you're something else, girl. Well, look, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to the old man. And
it's good to see you, brother.
Always good to catch up with you. Your boy over there in Korea, he's trying to get his coaching thing on.
Who is that?
Ira.
Oh, yeah. He went from player to coach, right?
Yep.
But he's coaching now?
Yeah, he's coaching now,
okay. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. He's in Korea. Okay.
Yeah. He and I was in Bahrain together. So I've known him a couple of years. Actually, before I knew you. Wow. I met Ira in Bahrain.
Wow.
Good guy.
I felt the Longhorn.
Yep. Yeah. But we're gonna stay in contact, and just remember, the best for you is yet to come, and it's gonna be back on that basketball court.
Receive it. I appreciate you.
All right, baby girl. Talk to you later.
All right. All right.
Bye bye.